everyone, and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Rini and I share DIY home decor videos here on my channel. As we are gearing up for the upcoming holidays, I thought it would be fun to share some DIY Christmas tree ornament ideas. They are really unique and I cannot wait to share them with you. If you enjoy watching, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Also hit the bell to get notified every time I upload a new video on my channel. So let's hop right into it. For the first ornament, I took a white velvet fabric, I laid it down and folded it, making the velvet sides facing towards each other. Then I drew a star shape to use it as a template for our ornament. I cut it out, placed it on the fabric, and to secure it in place, I used a washi tape. Then I traced the shape on the fabric. I used a sewing pin to hold both the sides in place and then I cut them following the outline. Then I removed the pin, turned over both the pieces to the other side to get the velvet sides facing opposite to each other. Then I matched the edges and secured the pieces again with a pin. After that, I grabbed a needle and a gray embroidery floss, threaded it through the needle and tied a double knot at the end. Then I started to sew both the pieces together. I went for a simple blanket stitch by sewing the needle through the fabric and continuing making loops around the edges. For hanging the ornament, I cut a piece of twine, placed it between the two fabric pieces, making sure it properly aligned and sewed it together with the fabric. Then I grabbed two of these wooden beads, inserted the twine loop through them and secured it with a knot. After that, I continued stitching and I left a gap to stuff it with the cotton balls. I was trying to distribute the cotton balls throughout the shape evenly. I also took the help of my Sharpie to push the cotton balls into all the corners of the star. After I completed stuffing, I finished sewing the remaining part. To secure the thread, I flipped it over and tied a double knot through one of the loops. So this completes our velvet stuffed Christmas ornament. I love the Scandinavian look of it. For the next ornament, I took an aluminum wire and some wooden beads. First, I separated the smallest beads from the rest of it and then I grabbed the aluminum wire and started to slide them through it. Then I grabbed one of the ends, bent it to form a loop which kind of looked like a screw eye. And then I grabbed the other end and twisted it about 2 to 3 times around the base of the loop. After that, I cut off the extra wire with a wire cutter. I also used a plier to fix the jagged end of the wire so it looked nice and flawless. Then I started bending the circle into a crescent moon shape. The aluminum wire I used was very flexible, so it was easy to work with. After I was satisfied with the shape, I took a green yarn to make a tassel and I kind of used my fingers as a template to wrap the yarn around. I wrapped the yarn around 15 to 20 times and then I took a jump ring and gathered all the loops into it. I closed the end of the ring, wrapped all the loops together and wrapped a piece of yarn around it. After that, I secured it with a double knot. Then I cut off the ends and trimmed them. I opened the jump ring again and attached it to the other corner of the crescent moon. To hang the moon, I took a piece of twine and tied a knot. This is how our beaded ornament is looking. It was so easy to make and looks very aesthetic. For the third ornament, I took 2 felt sheets. One was golden brown and the other was a chocolate brown. I drew a template of a reindeer on a piece of paper, 1 for face, 1 for body, 2 for hands, 2 legs, a nose, 2 ears, and 2 antlers. Then I cut off the pieces and I took the golden brown felt, folded it after estimating how much felt I was going to need and then cut it off. Moving on, I started to trace the shapes on the felt. After I cut them off, I flipped the pieces to the other side since I wanted to hide the pen markings. Once all the pieces were cut out, I took this brown embroidery floss, threaded it through a needle and started to sew the identical pieces together, and also this time I went for a simple blanket stitch. I started with the body first. I sewed about 2/3 of the shape and then I stuffed the shape with cotton and sewed the rest of it. This way I stuffed all the pieces with cotton except the face. Next, I took the template of the antlers and I started to trace them on this chocolate brown felt fabric. Then I cut them out, started to sew them together and filled them with cotton. After I was done with the antlers, I grabbed the face and the ears. We want to attach the antlers and the ears in between the two felt pieces. I took the ear, folded it in half and applied a tiny dot of hot glue on the base of it and held it till the glue cooled down. This formed a nice little fold which made it look like the reindeer's ear. I repeated the same for the other ear as well. Then I glued the antlers and the ears to the face. After that, I grabbed the top part of the face identical to the other one and sewed the pieces together. Then I stuffed the face with cotton and sewed the rest of it. Once all the pieces were done, I assembled them with hot glue. First, I attached the face to the body, followed by the legs and the hands. Now for the nose, I grabbed a piece of black felt fabric, traced the template on it, cut it out and attached it to the center of the face. Then I grabbed these pearl stickers that I used as eyes, and to color them black I used a Sharpie. I attached the eyes to the face with a tiny dot of hot glue. To make the eyes shine a bit more, I took my white pen and made 2 little dots on them. Then I cut off a red cord to add a little bow around the deer's neck. To jazz it up a bit more, I attached a pearl sticker to the center of the bow. And finally, I attached a piece of black cord to the back of the deer's head. And this completes our cute little reindeer ornament. For the next DIY ornament, I folded a piece of paper in half and drew the shape of a Christmas tree. I only drew half of the tree because once we cut it out, it would be symmetrical on the other side as well. Then I took this green felt fabric and traced the shape of tree on it. I placed one piece on top of the other, making sure all the corners match exactly. After that, I cut off a piece of jute twine, tied a double knot near the end and attached it between the pieces with hot glue. Then I took this off-white embroidery floss and sewed it around the edge. I went for a running stitch, which was very easy. I tried to keep the stitches uniform and continued sewing. Also, I kept a part open to stuff the tree with cotton balls. Once the tree was stuffed, I completed stitching the rest of the part. To add a little more detailing, I took this bead, pushed the twine through it and tied a knot to hold it in place. Moving on to the next ornament, I grabbed this styrofoam ball. I also cut this 1.5 by 1.5 centimeter square cardstock template. Then I took an old magazine, looked for any solid color and traced the shape of the square on it and cut them out. Then I held the pieces together and cut them diagonally and ended up with these little triangles. I used 4 different colors for this. You can go for more or less depending on your liking. After that, I used a black acrylic paint, and before I painted it, I stuck a needle into it. This way it was easier for me to hold it while painting. Then I started painting the styrofoam ball black, and I went for about 3 coats to make it opaque. After the paint dried down, I took my Mod Podge, applied it onto the surface of the ball and attached a triangle to it. And then I applied another layer of Mod Podge on the triangle. I continued decoupaging while making sure the triangles are equally spaced out. I also used the handle of my paintbrush to make sure the pieces are properly attached to the ball. After the Mod Podge dried down, I used my white pen to draw an outline following the shape of the triangle, and I kept a little amount of space between the triangle and the outline to make it pop. Then I grabbed a jewelry eye pin and a bead and stuck it into the styrofoam ball. I threaded a piece of jute twine through the eye pin and tied a knot. And finally, we ended up with this colorful boho Christmas tree ornament. For the last DIY ornament, I grabbed another styrofoam ball and some cotton twine. I poured some Mod Podge into this glass bowl, and I also cut small pieces of cotton twine. After that, I dipped the twine pieces into the Mod Podge, making sure they are completely covered with it. Then I grabbed a piece of twine, attached it to the ball while making a squiggly line. I started attaching the pieces one by one, and I was also trying not to make the twine pieces overlap. This way, I continued attaching the pieces to the ball. After it was dry, I put another layer of Mod Podge and attached small pieces of tissue paper to add additional texture to it. The additional layer also helped to reinforce the cotton twines. After it dried down, I colored it with this off-white paint, and I applied 2 layers of paint. Then I took my metallic gold paint and a sponge brush and applied a little amount of paint on the squiggly lines to make them stand out. After I dipped the brush into the paint, I got rid of the excess paint and applied it onto the lines. Then I used this white mini yarn and made a tassel for our ornament. I wrapped the yarn for about 20 times. Then I tied a double knot at the top to secure it and trimmed the ends. I wrapped another piece of yarn around it and secured it with a double knot. Then I took a jump ring and tied the tassel to it. I thought to embellish it a little more, so I used this golden color chain and put it through the jump ring, and then I cut it to the length of the tassel. To attach the tassel to the foam ball, I threaded a piece of white yarn through a large embroidery needle, and then I stuck the needle into the foam ball and pulled the thread through the other end. And then I tied the tassel on one of the ends. On the other end, I tied another jump ring to hang it up. This is how our embellished ornament turned out, and I used a piece of jute twine to hang it up. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you did, let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on it. If you recreate any of this, I'd love to see them. You can tag me on Instagram at DustyHues. So that was all for today, and I'll be seeing you guys in my next one.